Well, it's TikTok. It's time to rock. We've got everybody here. We've got this. This is the cuddle corner of the YouTube for the next couple of hours.
And then, Jerry, there you go.
Oh, yeah. It's more this side, isn't it? That side.
Yeah, the other way.
I can't do it, man.
Anyway, yeah.
The serious guys are on the top. The serious guys are on the top, and the rat bags are on the bottom.
And Jerry's doing things in the bed that I've got to sleep in tonight. I don't even want to know, dude.
Oh my gosh, it's good to see you guys.
Secret.
Yeah. You can tell us all about what you're going to do there soon, Jerry. It's good to have you guys here. Hoss and Jason, good to have Fair Warning take over the 5150 show. I've got Brad up here too. I don't know what Brad and I are going to do today. We're just going to hand it over to the rat bags, aren't we? And just sit and laugh and giggle with everybody else that's in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's your show, guys. You can you've ranted this, from the cuddle corner. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should quickly explain to people that don't know why Jason and I are sitting cozily side by side and Jerry's laying on my bed is because we're not actually in our homes. We're on tour at the moment with Daryl Braithwaite, and we've just this morning done a 3-hour drive north of Sydney. And sorry, what's John saying?
That's very funny.
Sorry, John, we haven't even begun to discuss who's top and who's bottom.
We'll get to that.
It's actually very complicated, more complicated than you would think. But, so we've just done a 3-hour drive. Jace has been driving and up to a lovely coastal town called Shoal Bay, which is north of Sydney. And the weather's not very good. It's not very beachy weather. It's kind of humid and like 21 degrees and raining, which is why Jason had to come in off the balcony.
Yes.
And
there's a good backdrop though.
But it would have been a nice backdrop. But we wanted to, with Fair Warning rhythm section all together, we thought, why not do Fair Warning talks Fair Warning,
Great. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I've been listening to Fair Warning this week, just in preparation for today. And I haven't listened to it now for a couple of months at least. And geez, it's a cracker of an album. It's really got some deep cuts, like some really good deep cuts, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really does. We of course were cranking it up in the van on the drive, and we were even listening to some of Dweezil Zappa's podcast on the Fair Warning episode with Nuno Betancourt, and we were just sort of discussing the songs as we went. But man, what an album! And one of the things that you forget that Dweezil was saying is that album is 40 years old now.
Wow,
unbelievable. Actually, when was it? 1981 released, which would make it 41 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey Mojo just mentioned Dirty Movies in the chat. Yeah, that was one that really. I was listening to that one in the car today. Just I was had my son in the car. And we're cranking Dirty Movies. It was awesome.
Right. You didn't have to explain what the song was about, was it? Did you, Brad?
No, my son's 13, but
okay.
I'll keep it level playing.
Good. That's the only way to do it. Yeah, let them figure it out for themselves.
All about the music.
That's it, man. That's exactly right. Yeah, check out the groove. That's what you need to say.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys picked the right time though to talk about this album because the album was dropped this month in '81. So
was it? Right. Okay.
Yeah. It was dropped in April. So
7 years old.
Yeah. So look, I look forward obviously to hearing what you guys have to say about it. We've spoken about this album a few times, guys, haven't we? And we'll obviously continue to talk about this album, its significance, what it means for us as musicians, and as young guys growing up. And as we do here on this channel, we go through and we talk about our own personal experiences with this album. Brad and I have spoken about this a few times, but we are certainly looking forward to what Jason and Jerry and Hoss have to say about these things, guys. So feel free to go as in-depth or as brief as you want.
Beautiful. And of course, as we always say, you know, we're so passionate about these songs and this album and Van Halen in general, but I don't profess to be any kind of aficionado the way some of the people in the chat are going to be. So if you guys know some stuff that we don't, please weigh in and give us some extra stuff to talk about.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, totally.
100%.
Yeah,
Probably a good time
brother.
right now, guys, to do a bit of a shout out to the chat. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
We've got a few people here, so it's great to see some people here. I'm happy to do the first lot if you want.
Go for it, fella. No problem. I'll do the ones at the end.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Look, I'll take this opportunity to say hello to everyone. Thanks for everyone who's recently subscribed. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers now. We're not far off. We need your help. You guys have been amazing helping push our channel. We're a humble little channel, and it's just a great feeling to know that everyone's, you know, trying to get us over that 1,000 mark, that was our goal for this year. So we're well and truly on our way. We're up to 917 now, so we're not far off 1,000. So keep sharing, keep doing all that. So a bit of a shout out to, who have we got here? John ZD351. Good to see
John.
you, brother. Charmaine, we've got Ellen V, my mother's back. We've got what else we got here? Arvin's back. Good to see you, Arvin. We have got Tim Thomas. Good to see you, Tim Thomas. We have Keith Campbell. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Hey, Keith, how you doing, brother?
We have got.
We got Thomas Santiago.
Yep, we've got Thomas. We've got Mikey Mojo, the man that fills my inbox on Instagram full of amazing stuff. So keep it up. I love it. We have got Gretch Zeppelin, our good friend Gretch Zeppelin, in the chat. He's a regular on the channel, and with a name like that, he well and truly loves Zeppelin, obviously, no doubt. So we have got, who else? We've got Teresa in the chat. Thanks for joining us.
Teresa's all the way down there in Brazil.
Yep. So we've got
Teresa, how you doing?
We have also got, who else? I think Grant Fisher. Thank you for joining us. And
Dan of New Jersey.
We've got also a rap band called 5150 Show. So we've got to keep an eye on that fella. We've got Helen Winter. We have Tanty Music.
Oh, yes. Hey, Tanty. Tanty was at our show last night in North Sydney.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Dan of NJ. Dan of New Jersey, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
And
that's what I've been saying.
Yeah. And I think I've covered everyone in the chat so far, but if I've missed you, I'm sorry. But thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Oh, yeah, we talked about Mikey Mojo, and of course you got your mum Ellen, didn't you, Brad?
Yep, right at the top there. Yep. So good to see her back.
Lovely. So the VIP is always in early. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much. And we've got about 20 people watching at the moment, so thank you, guys.
Beautiful. And actually, big shout out to Charmaine and all the other people in the UK. We're moaning about a 3-hour drive to make it in time for the podcast, but of course it's 3 a.m. there, so that's a massive effort.
Yes.
3 a.m. is the hardest time. Whenever there's something I want to do, like whether it's the Formula One or whatever, and it's 3 a.m., that's rough because it's too late to stay up for and it's too early to get up for. You know, that's rough.
3 a.m. I must be lonely.
3 a.m. I must be lonely. Yeah. You can tell we've just spent 3 hours in a car together, can't you? Anyway, very good.
So you're a bit stir crazy, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Always.
That's right. Yeah.
The road trips, man, they get tiresome, but they're fun, aren't they?
They are fun, especially when you get to do it with your brothers like we do. I mean, we're very lucky because what people have come to know as the Fair Warning rhythm section is exactly the same as Daryl Braithwaite's rhythm section. So when we're not jamming Van Halen, we're playing with Daryl, and it's it's lucky we like each other.
Well, looks can be deceiving.
Yeah. As always, yeah.
Well, yeah. Look, I know we on
news.
Yeah, on the last show we did, Andrew, on the Zosso show, or the British Electric Blues show, doing the Zosso show, we spoke a little bit about Taylor Hawkins passing away. So another shout out to Taylor Hawkins, and condolences to his band, his family, his young children, and all the fans, including ourselves. We're all obviously music fans, so you can't dismiss the input that Taylor Hawkins has had on the last 20, 30 years of music, really. So from Alanis Morissette all the way through to the Foo Fighters and his own solo career as well. Just an amazing musician. It broke my heart to wake up to that news when I was driving to a gig actually last weekend, to a theatre show in Bendigo at the Capitol Theatre, and an hour out of town, I heard it. I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. So I threw on some Foo Fighters. I was just listening, going, "Wow, that's a big loss, man, to lose that." And I've seen the outpour of emotion and stuff on socials this week. And Mikey Mojo's just made a comment there. He saw Wolfie in New Jersey Wednesday night. Yeah. So
there would have been a few tears in that audience, I'd imagine. Far out.
And such an amazing version of it too. So Wolfie really smashed that to pieces, which is fantastic. But I have to say, I mean, I saw Taylor Hawkins play with Alanis Morissette back in Australia, and I walked away from that gig in particular because I loved that Jagged Little Pill record, and I walked away from that gig going, "Oh, Alanis was awesome," but the drummer, wow, he's just something else. And obviously, once he joined Foo Fighters, like I think I mentioned on the last show, I've seen Foo Fighters quite a bit, especially in the early days around the Colour and Shape record and around those tours in Sydney. I've met Dave Grohl twice. I was in a Foo Fighters film clip. And,
cool.
And as a spin-off from that, I got to see them on one of the later tours, which was on the Colour and Shape tour. And they played at the University of New South Wales and a couple other places in New Sydney. I can't remember.
Fabulous.
I got to meet him for like all of 10 minutes if I'm lucky, but he was just such a nice guy. And you could imagine through everything you've heard and seen about him in the last week or so, and even over the last 20 odd years, he's just such a funny character and a humble guy. And he's a big loss.
Yeah. Which video clip were you in, Brad?
In Big Me as an extra in the crowd.
Okay.
Watching.
That was wasn't that the send up of the Mentos ad?
Yeah. There's a scene that was done at a place, I think it's called the Armadale. I think it might be changed now in Sydney. I think it was the Armadale, yeah. And so it was a little club gig. So they put on a big spread for us, and there was about 100 or so in the crowd, and they showed us proofs of stuff, and I was like, wow, that's cool, because I was in it heaps, but you can see the back of my head for sure. But it's
great.
Yeah, it's a young me.
Yeah,
it's a young me.
Time ago, that was the first album, Foo Fighters. Yeah, Big Me.
Yeah, a great album.
Which I don't think Taylor played on though.
He didn't play on the first two records,
but he came later on, didn't he? Yeah.
But he toured on the Colour and Shape record. So that
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that footage we see from the big day out when they played in Sydney, right?
Yeah,
because he's on that gig. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
and,
look,
from a drum's perspective, you must be sort of shocked, yeah.
Oh, totally, man. I mean, just like everybody else, he's a generational player, and that band is too. Like my son, who's 16 years old, came running in and said, "Dad, the Instagram on Foo Fighters have just announced Taylor's passed away." And I said, "You're kidding me," So I had to try and quickly get that confirmed, and he was shattered. Like it was like me when I heard the news that Eddie passed away, or any other notable musician that has affected our musical upbringing. So his musical upbringing is listening to the Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl, and and then he backtracked and he's into Nirvana and knows all the stuff, knows all their repertoire. So when he heard that Taylor passed away, man, I've never seen my son be so unhappy. He was so sad, and And I just thought we were all kind of robbed of it. You know, he's 50 and he's got so much more to give, you know, so much more playing. But last night on Rage, there was a whole thing dedicated and showing clips of Foo Fighters, and they were actually hosting an old Rage show. And geez, the body of work that those guys have done, it's incredible. So I heard songs that I never heard before, especially from Taylor's his solo stuff, which is I need to probably jump in there and check it out a little bit more extensively, you know. But big loss, man. He was a great drummer. Like, I loved his playing. I just recently came across some trio stuff that he done with his this guitar player. I can't remember. It's like instrumental sort of fusiony blues stuff, and it blew me away. Blew me away, man. It was just so great, so in the pocket playing, creative, interactive, like all the things that I look for in drummers, not just playing a thing, you know. You can tell he listens a lot, you know, and it comes through, and he's playing so much, you know. So big loss, man, big loss. So sad, and I feel sorry for the guys in his band, and he's obviously his family and his kids. But gee, that's a big loss. Sorry, Simon.
I was just going to say, you know, as well as Taylor Hawkins specifically, I just don't think it can be understated that to me personally, like from my viewpoint, I feel like Dave Grohl and Taylor pretty much almost single-handedly kept rock and roll alive on FM radio all around the world. Because if you think about it, if you take the Foo Fighters and all their singles out of radio play, you've got pop music. They were almost the only ones doing it, and we owe Dave Grohl and Taylor the biggest debt of gratitude because not only did they keep rock alive, they made it fun. You know, they were, you know, in those early film clips where they were dressing up as girls and all of that, that almost had the sensibility of early Van Halen stuff. Yeah. You know, I just think that like my heart will be forever with Dave Grohl for that, because when there wasn't mainstream rock, there was Foo Fighters always, you know.
Yeah. So good call. Great calls.
Beautiful, yeah.
It's a good call. And last week I made a shout out to the fact that I think personally that Taylor is my generation's John Bonham, and that dovetails into everything that you just said, Hoss, because he kept rock and roll and rock music alive. So that kind of backs up my emotional statement from last week. So thank you, brother.
Well, the thing that I noticed from Taylor Hawkins is how respectful he was to all of the, you know, all of his idols and the music. He loved music so much, and that always came across from his love of the band Queen, Roger Taylor's drumming. He was a big fan of that. You know,
the Police.
Even later years, his tribute to Eddie Van Halen, where he'd wear the stripy red and, you know, the pants, the shorts with the Van Halen stripes, you know. So he always brought his A game, you know. He was always so exciting to watch, and such an entertainer, you know. So he's definitely going to be sorely missed. And you just got to feel for Dave Grohl, you know. It's like he's lost his brother, you know. It's just you know, you kind of, we've lost someone. We're hurting so bad. Imagine what it'd be like for his bandmates. You know, it's be terrible. So
you can't even almost imagine it, really. You know, but look, he left an incredible legacy behind. That's for sure. And one of the legacies is what we were just talking about. Is that, you know, we can always be proud that those people kept rock alive when rock wasn't at the forefront, you know. And if you're going to leave a legacy as a drummer, that's a beautiful one to leave.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
God, you guys are getting me all teary. We haven't even talked about Van Halen.
Yeah. But I just thought it was important to address it while we're all together and get your.
No, it is.
So.
It is.
Absolutely.
It definitely is, and I haven't really had a good forum or opportunity to really talk about Taylor yet since he passed. So thanks for giving me a moment to say a couple of words of my own as well, and Jerry and Jace.
Yeah. Well, segueing back into Van Halen with the striped shorts and everything like that, that was very well done. So
and
Nice.
Yeah, and also someone was just saying in the chat, Brad, was it Mikey saying that apparently Taylor played heaps of Van Halen in his cover band.
Yeah.
Metal.
Heavy metal, yeah. So that would have been awesome to see. I'm spewing. I can only imagine that would have sounded great, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Just on those Van Halen shorts, I might have to get me some for next summer.
Hey, well, fellas,
What
I can see behind me the sun has just come out here at the beach, so I think we should all
Mate,
go.
look, it's crashing waves behind me. Look at that.
Van Halen shorts, yeah. Now that would be a sight.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to organise that. Hey, I do have my Van Halen shoes on though.
Oi.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Do they come in men's?
Oh,
Sorry.
Ooh. Oh.
Sorry.
Hey, you're the one lying in my bed, buddy.
Drummers.
Andrew, one word, drummers. I love it.
Michael also says Vans Halen. That's brilliant.
Yeah, very good.
Love it, brother.
Hey, Michael. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us. It's late where he is. He's in New York City. He's been gigging his heart out.
Yeah. Love it.
So it'll be 10 p.m. over there, I guess. Is that right, Michael? Yeah, something like that. And we've just had Robert Ranford join us. Hey, Robert, how you doing?
Thanks, brothers. Okay, guys, fair warning. So this is always a standard question that we love to ask, and everyone wants to hear everyone's response to it, and it's a question we never get sick and tired of. Guys, you guys on the bottom there holding Brad and I up, fair warning, the album, when did you discover it? How did you discover it?
I'm going to let Jerry and Jace go first because you've heard me talk about this before. So, Jace.
Okay, I'll go first. I discovered Fair Warning not only after being in a band with other guys who pointed me in that direction, because my introduction to Van Halen was a little later with 1984 and 5150. So there's not really the standout pop song that was played on the television in Australia here from the album Fair Warning. It's not like they were played on the radio necessarily. But once I was pointed in a direction, and I think Mean Street.
Yes. Can I just say, while we're talking about it, everyone calls it Mean Streets. It's not. It's only one street. Mean Street.
Yes.
Go on.
When I heard Mean Street, what struck me, being a bass guitar player, was that that's a great lick for bass. You know, he's not just in a supporting role here. He's actually a major part of the whole melodic structure of the song, and that's what kind of pricked my ear up. And from then on, I knew there was something different about Fair Warning as opposed to the other albums. I think it's a more complete sort of cohesive album than a lot of their other ones, compared to, say, Diver Down, which I think is an excellent album. I'm not knocking any of their albums, but I just think, Fair Warning to me was a very cohesive album. And, so my first introduction was through bandmates turning me onto it, I got to say, rather than me finding it myself.
Yep. Jerry, you're up.
I guess. Thanks, mate. Jerry, you're up.
We're laughing because the Wi-Fi is so slow in the apartment that we're all in. Jerry's face is frozen, even though we're not. And Jerry, your face is frozen. You look like Quagmire from Family Guy.
Giddy.
Anyway,
am I back? Is it okay?
You're back. You're back, brother. You're live on the main street. Don't worry about those guys on the main street.
Yeah, the main streets.
Yeah.
I'm just pretending to be still.
Go on.
That's all good. All right. So what was the question? Oh, how I came across Fair Warning, right?
Fair Warning.
That's the question. Yeah. Okay. So it was never introduced to me as, hey, have a listen to this. I think it was of due course of buying Van Halen CDs when CDs became a format. And so I bought Fair Warning, saw it in the catalog there in the shop, and so I bought it. This is a Van Halen album that I don't own, so I obviously, listened to it. But it wasn't until, and I think I told Simon this just hours ago on the trip here. I said the reason why I got really stuck into that record was because when we got together to jam Fair Warning, the jam Van Halen songs, Simon had picked all these song titles. I go, what album is this from? And he said, it's from the Fair Warning album. So that's when I really started getting stuck into that record and falling in love with it, really. And I thought that record was so different to everything else, and it was more aggressive. The playing was a little bit more refined, and you can just tell from because Women and Children was the one before it, right?
Yep.
So, and that's a great sounding record. This was almost like a carry on from that. And Eddie's writing and playing was next level on this one. So that's how I came across really the album. I just simply bought it because I saw it there on the shelf to kind of make up my catalog of Van Halen records or CDs. And it wasn't until we started jamming that stuff that I really started listening to that record. Yeah. And it was Simon's doing, really. Simon got me into it.
And to put that into context for people, I mean, we're talking about a pretty long time ago. You would say that's like 96, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, I probably bought the album 94, 95, something like that.
95, right? Okay,
yeah, I was a late sort of, listener to that record. But it wasn't when we started rehearsing or playing, jamming out that stuff, which was not 97, 98. I think it was, that I really wow, this record's just, why haven't I been really listening to this record a lot? You know what I mean? Sort of thing. So, that's how I really came across it and fell in love with it.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the great classics off Fair Warning, like Unchained and stuff, I didn't even hear for years because, as I've said on this show before, some people might know that my first experience to the broad Van Halen catalog was a mixtape that my guitar teacher made for me. So it was kind of snippets of all the albums up to 5150, and sort of roughly in order. So the first few songs on the cassette were from Van Halen 1, there'd be Beautiful Girls and a few things from Van Halen 2. And anyway, so there was a lot missing off Fair Warning, but there was Sinner's Swing was on there, Mean Street was on there. Let's see, I think So This Is Love was on there, but Unchained and a couple of the other big songs weren't on there. So it was only when I was a teenager and I just really knew I just loved Van Halen enough that I started buying all the albums to kind of fill up and flesh out like my catalog, like what you were saying, Jerry. Only then did I experience the album.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. What's this?
Read that from John.
Yeah. Well, John, how do you know when the drummer's at your door? The knocking slows down. Sorry, Jerry. So for me, that's all right. We could do muso knock jokes all day.
How do you make a guitar player turn down? Put a chord chart in front of him.
Yeah. What do you call 1,000 singers at the bottom of the ocean?
A good start.
Yeah. How many bass players does it take to change a light bulb? None. The keyboard player can do it with his left hand.
Yeah. How do you know when a singer's at your door? Because they can't find the key and they don't know when to come in. Boom.
What do you throw a drowning guitar player?
His amp. Oh, Lord.
What's the difference between a drummer and a drum machine?
Oh,
come on.
Yeah, go.
You only have to punch the information in once on a drum machine. Come on. All right. And sorry, back to
anyway.
Hey, you remember, Joe, I'm in the next room. I can just come over there right now.
I'm out of here.
Okay, so what about the top row? What about you, Brad and Andrew? How did you guys first come to appreciate the Fair Warning album?
Andrew?
No, you can go first, brother.
I'm speechless.
Hey, before we move on, no, that's all right. That's all right.
How do you know when a stage is not level?
How?
The drummer starts falling out of one side of the mouth.
That's it, man.
I have another one. How many lead guitarists does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh, all of them. One to change it, and all the rest to stand there like this, saying, "I could have done it faster than that."
Very good.
So there's four members of a rock band, and they're all on stage, and inside their heads, like the drummer's going, "Yeah, I'm doing this inverse paradiddle, and I've got my toms all tuned perfectly," and it's like a science. And the singer's up there in his spandex, and he's got his foot on the fallback wedge, and he's looking at all the girls in the front row, trying to memorize their names, and it's like, yeah, that's Cheryl, and that's Rebecca, and that's Tracy, and he's going, and the guitarist is up there going, "Yeah, Mixolydian mode, Lydian," and I'm going to kick it with my foot, and the bass player's up there going, E A E A E A.
Love it.
I can feel it. I knew it was coming.
Yeah,
that's great.
Anyway,
I love it.
Right.
All right, I'm sidetracked. Sorry, I can't remember what we're. Oh,
so Brad, when was the first time you heard Fair Warning?
When I was changing a light globe, and
exactly. That's very cool.
I went backwards from 1984 and 5150 with Van Halen. So around that era is when I was just sort of getting into playing guitar and actually getting into music. So I went backwards. I went back and I bought like all the David Lee Roth era stuff. I went and bought sort of every couple of weeks I go buy another one. When I bought Fair Warning, immediately the tone of the record, like when I say the darkness, like that sort of undertone sort of vibe that the record's got, appealed to me. I just loved it more so because like 5150 was probably at the time like my favorite record from Van Halen, and I was into 84, and the first few records took a lot of listening for me to get involved in, but Fair Warning straight off the bat was one of those ones that I gravitated to. Even to this day, I still when I put on a Roth era record, it's pretty much Fair Warning on 1984. I don't know why. I just love those two records from that Roth era. I still love all the other ones as well now, being a bit more mature, and obviously over time your musical taste changed and everything. But yeah, so that was it for me. Predominantly went backwards from 1984 with Van Halen, started buying them, and not very similar to your thing. You went back and filled up your catalog of Van Halen that you had, sort of thing. But, yeah.
And that's great, Brad, that you're able to go back and listen to it and then appreciate it differently, because we are getting older and we start hearing things a lot better, and being exposed to all other genres of music. And then you put on Fair Warning or put on Women and Children, and something grabs your attention. Oh, I didn't hear it like that the first time round. You know what I mean? So, and that's testimony to how great the playing is, the recording is, and of course the writing and the performances. So, 100%. Just goes to show that we're, like as we get older, we try and, just be more mature in our playing and our observations, and it means we're using our musical instincts better.
Yeah, unless you're a lead guitar player.
Well, I can't help you with that. And
no, I'm joking. No, I agree, because like I listen to the records that I never used to get too much into from any artist, ones that are on high rotation for me, because I appreciate them more in a different way.
Absolutely.
I'm more of a song guy these days than I am wanting to hear a fantastic guitar part or drum part. It's more about me these days. So
yeah, I'm the same too, man. I've just been really kind of focusing on just like part playing and really going back and listening to parts. It's so good to do that.
Yeah. How about yourself, Andrew? How about yourself? I know I've heard you say it, but tell everyone who hasn't heard it.
Yeah, I'm the old man here, so I was around when these albums were being dropped, and I discovered Van Halen in '82 when Diver Down had been released, and was introduced to Van Halen through Van Halen 1 by listening to, obviously, of course, Eruption and then Diver Down. And then realizing that they had this other album that came out called Fair Warning. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. A lot of my friends at the time didn't dig the album because the cover was strange. And I'm going to throw the cover up here. We're all familiar with the cover. It just didn't look like a rock and roll cover. Like, even though Diver Down's cover was pretty simple with the red and the white, there was something cool about it. You could flick it over and there was something on the back there that gave you a bit of a vibe of what was going on. So back then, in the olden days, album covers are really, really important as far as projecting what you thought the music was. So this Fair Warning album didn't sort of mean much, but I'm glad that Jason mentioned Diver Down, because after listening to Diver Down and then hearing this album when I'm 13, 14 years old, around that age, I didn't get it, guys. I'm being honest. I did not get this album at all for a long so as much as you know it's a progression from one album to another with a band, the differences for me originally and even now, I suppose you can talk about the differences, was immense, guys. Miles have been night and day.
Yeah, right. Okay, very interesting. Isn't it fascinating how all of us come to it so differently, and yet we're all massive music fans, guitar fans, and Van Halen fans, and yet we all come to it so differently. And I'm sure for everyone in the chat has come to it completely differently than all of the five of us, you know?
Isn't it interesting, though, guys? I was just doing a bit of research for the show. You know, the critics didn't rate the album when it was dropped.
That's right.
You know, they panned it. They didn't get it. But again, who gets it? Who gets it? It's the fans. The fans got it. The fans dug it. But, you know, the critics, boy, they panned it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, obviously when we sort of deep dive a little more, we can get to it. But even to me, just quickly in one sentence, like the last two tracks on the album too kind of felt a little bit to me like the band giving a middle finger to the critics and stuff. It's like, we will do whatever we want. We're Van Halen, you know? And I just love that they planted that flag, which of course, as we now know in retrospect, we really did need to all recalibrate our brains, because the albums that were to come, each one was really, really different. You know, I mean, they weren't just cookie cutter like corporate rock, you know?
100%.
I got to say, I think the that live footage from around that time really helped sell the album to me as well. On retrospect, like, you know, you hear songs like "Hear About It Later," that live footage where the three of them doing that little skip, you know. I go, wow, I love that song. What album's that from? And then "Unchained" is another one from the same concert. I think, the live footage really helped sell the album for me as well, I think, you know. But yeah, you didn't hear all of the songs, but that was pretty much what got it over the line for a lot of people, I believe.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned live footage too, because back in the olden days, Jason, we didn't have footage here in New Zealand. We had guitar magazines. We had Cream magazine, which was the one that was mainly responsible for giving us photos of Van Halen. So you know, we've got the backdrop here, you know, of that 81 tour. Just a fantastic. You look at some of the photos, guys, of that tour. Without looking at some of the videos, they did it well.
It looks massive. Like that backdrop is incredible. And I was asking Simon before, with all those massive speaker boxes on stage, they look like they're 18-inch speakers, and then there's like your 8-10 cabs everywhere. And I asked, how many of those would have been plugged in, do you think? You know, but just the way it was all set up, you know, it's such an exciting looking stage.
Yeah, isn't it? Wow.
And that photo in particular, which is the one that's sort of behind us all here, what a great pose! Like they're all making. It's just
they're all jumping, doing something. Yeah.
Just a still shot. I mean, look how exciting would it have been to be there, you know? So
yeah.
So I guess we're talking about that gig, which is the Oakland '81 performance, right? My question to you guys is, why isn't there more footage from that concert? Why was it only 3 songs?
Don't know
That they,
the answer to
that's
that.
strange,
Someone in
isn't
the
it?
chat might know. Actually, while we're talking about the chat, huge shout out to Alan, who's joined us, who is one of the, as we all know, one of the most knowledgeable and talented people in the Van Halen world. So, hey, Alan, how you doing, brother? Good to have you with us.
Maybe Alan might know.
Yeah,
He
Alan
will
might
know.
know. Keith Campbell
Yeah.
might know. There's a few
Please
people
let
in
us
the
know,
chat.
man.
Yeah,
I'm
Mikey,
so curious to know why, you know.
This might have answered the question there too.
Oh, there you go. Keith Campbell saying to Jason's question of how many of those, that array of cabinets would be plugged in. He's saying 2 plugged in each. The rest were for visual. Yeah. My understanding was a lot of the time they had the bottom row of stuff all plugged in, and anything you see stacked higher because it was at ear
Right.
level wasn't, you know, which
Okay.
would make sense. That would, so you'd get a spread laterally across the stage for running around, but you didn't necessarily need it vertically. So that would make sense to me for sure.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
Alan says the band could not afford it. Well, hey, there you go. If that's right, I'm surprised by that. I would have thought by then they would have had some coin to do that, but who knows how it all, the machine of the economics of it all really work, you know?
Yeah.
I got a taste of that when I was touring with an Australian band called Taxi Ride, who had a huge first record. It was a $500,000 record budget, which was a lot for an unknown Australian band at the time. And we did a 3-month tour around Europe supporting Tina Turner. And the band had just broken even. They'd sold enough singles and albums so that they were now in the black and were starting to make some coin, and were mortified to find out that the support tour of Tina Turner that the record company put them on was costing them $300,000 to be on the tour. So they went straight back into the red, but they weren't told that when they accepted the tour. So this is what I'm saying. My point is that you just don't know how the record company structure the economics of the whole thing, you know? So yeah, Alan's probably right then on that.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, you can say what you want about Spotify and streaming, but thank God record companies don't rule the roost anymore, because they've got a lot to answer for in some ways, you know?
100%.
There you go. Alan's saying they still owe the record company. There you go. That just proves exactly the kind of thing that I was just saying. And, you know, for anyone that's not actually in the music industry that might be listening or watching this, that's what people don't understand. I mean, the odds are stacked against the most artists, even the really big, high platinum selling ones. It's all about the record company making money and not the artist. So that's what people don't understand that, you know. So, I mean, history's littered, isn't it, with like famous, very, very, very famous artists that have gone broke, even though they've sold gazillions of records, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is one of those things, isn't it? The industry, you know, even some of my friends that are in quite successful bands and done really, really well, they're still, you know, doing it tough financially. It's pretty sad. Yeah,
I mean, that's how the music industry was structured. It was a top-down, A-frame corporate thing, and you know, the people that made the actual art, as goes all the way back to history, even to famous painters like Picasso, the people that made the art didn't get paid for it, you know. Yeah. So but anyway, but speaking of art, probably back to the point of it is that even though the critics didn't kind of really like it at first, but it really became a fan favorite pretty quickly, I think, right? That's my impression.
Yeah. 100%. And it still is a fan favorite for most people, I think, this one. You know,
yeah, well, especially, sorry, Brad, go on.
No, I was going to say a lot of guitarists gravitate to, you know, Van Halen 1 and 2, but I think all musos gravitate to Fair Warning. That would be my take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since Eddie has passed, and now we have all these great books at our disposal, and of course all these live podcasts and things. It really does seem that most guitarists, like, if Fair Warning's not their favorite, it's at least in their top 2, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And hey, Nelson Rodriguez joining us as well. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, well, where would you guys, I asked this in the chat, and it's a question I want to ask you guys, where would you rate Fair Warning yourselves individually, or go through each of us individually as Roth era, where would you rate it? First, second, out of all the Roth records?
Yeah, man, that's really. I mean, okay, let me think about that. I've never really had to put it in a rating, but look, I would say, look, probably first. And if there was another album out of the Roth era stuff that was nipping at its heels for me, maybe like something really early, like Van Halen 2. You know.
Okay.
But if I really had to just pick one, I'd probably pick Fair Warning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same too. I think it's still, for me, they tick all the boxes on that one.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, Jerry. Okay, so and I should circle back so I can answer this too. Why is it your favorite one?
Is that a question to me, Hoss?
Yeah.
I just think just hearing the progression of the band. You know, they started out as young cats. You know, and even though it was like 81 when this was recorded, 81 was it recorded?
81. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and then the first Van Halen album was what, 78?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's only 3 years when you think about it. And
it's a very different sound, isn't it?
It's a different sound. They're all playing different. They're playing better, and to have that sort of transition so quickly, to me, the album just felt more complete than the others. You know, not dissing the other records. They're all great in their own individual way, you know. Yeah. But for me, this one, it just from a musical performance sort of perspective, and Roth too. Roth sounds great on this record, man. Like
he really does.
He's singing his absolute sort of butt off, you know. So I think that's the reason why I dig it. Yeah,
his delivery, you know.
Yeah,
like he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and well, I know this is a darker record you were saying before, but no, everything. Well, pretty much his delivery all the way along was pretty excellent, and subject matter of his songs as well was a little different. He was kind of diverse in what he was singing about, like Mean Street, for argument's sake, songs like that. But I've got to put Van Halen 1 as the number one.
Okay,
Roth, and Fair Warning number 2 for me. But I kind of have a soft spot for Diver Down.
No, don't. Chase, it's great, man. That's okay.
We'll
deal with the sackings later on. That's all right, mate.
Okay.
Hey!
Because on our drive up to Shoal Bay today in the car, we were listening to some Van Halen and we had the Diver Down record on. And I've got to say, the production was amazing. That's a great sounding record. I know that a lot of people don't like all the cover songs. The Van Halen original songs on that were pretty cool. And I think that was the same with Fair Warning. Like the production was great. You could hear a bit of bass guitar in there as well.
Not much.
Not much, no. But
just enough.
Yeah, but so I don't know, personally, I think for me it was Van Halen 1, Fair Warning, Diver Down, 1984.
Okay.
Tight.
Okay, tight, yeah. But, you know, it's true. Obviously, we'll come back to Fair Warning because, you know, that's what we're here to talk about. But really, it only exists. The reason that we're saying these things is because it's in context with all the other albums that we're comparing it against. And you know, I wouldn't want to do without any of them. To me, they're like the different colors of the rainbow. You know what I mean? It's like, and all the colors of the rainbow make up the one color white. So it's like, you know, you can't do without red. You can't do without blue. You can't do without green. And each one you listen to when you're in a different place, a different mood. And you know, Fair Warning's just one of those. And yeah, I find it more aggressive and I find it more serious maybe. And and Andrew was talking about the album cover, which is a very serious kind of, I mean, that could be the album color of cover of Steely Dan or Chicago or something from the early 70s. You know, it's got that browny kind of, it just doesn't, Andrew's right, it doesn't look like a 1981 heavy rock and roll album cover. But, you know, I think it goes to show the seriousness of what the boys were doing at the time. And, you know, everyone would have, I'm sure, be sort of fairly read up by now these days that, I mean, apparently Ed was kind of at his wit's end with Ted Templeman at the time, and for where things went with women and children first. And really, it was him trying to take the reins back. I mean, that's why, talking about the last two synthesizer tracks again, it's almost Ed's way of saying, I don't even care that they're not like real songs. They're like jams. I'm going to do what I want. I'm an artist, you know? And the fact that it had no covers on it, I just think that all of that was a very, very definitive statement. And actually, while the three of us were in the car trip on the way up here, listening to the Dweezil podcast and listening to Nuno talk, Nuno brings up a great point where he says there's a funk to Fair Warning that the other albums don't quite have. There's moments of it, but I mean, if you think of Mean Street, that's a funky track. You know, that groove that Alex plays. We were talking about it too. To me, it actually sounds like old school James Brown things, like Funky Drummer. You know?
Yeah.
Obviously not played in a more rock way that Alex would naturally play it to be more Alex, but really there's a funk to it. And then if you think of Dirty Movies, it's like a slower version of Mean Street, but it's the same kind of funk groove that Alex is playing with the 16ths on the hat. There's something, and you know, for lovers of music of all styles, hearing that funk come into that rock, and then David Lee Roth, like, you know, sort of being the prophet as he always is up there with his bullhorn, you know, sermonizing. It's almost the perfect storm in some ways, you know. It's serious enough, it's heavy enough, it's funky enough, it's fun enough. It's kind of got a bit of it all, you know.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself, Andrew?
Guys, I'm going to rate 1984 as my favourite Roth era album by a nose, and I'm going to put Fair Warning as my second album, only because of the guitar tones and the guitar work that we've all discussed here, that I've come to appreciate over the years. You know, the sophistication, you know, that Eddie was doing at the time, the seriousness that he was applying himself as a fuller musician to these songs. I appreciate that and I dig it. And there's one other little cool thing too that I think that these guys did really, really well with this album. It's only 30 minutes long. Just enough.
Wow.
Just enough to give you just a smack in the face and wanting to come back for more. Could you imagine someone today producing a 30-minute album, an artist today?
And what you got to keep in the context is what we were just talking about. Two of those songs are synthesizer jams. You know, in the third. So if you wanted to, sometimes in my heart a little bit, don't worry. I love them for what they are, and I love them for that. It's Ed's way of saying we're artists. We'll do whatever we want. You know, I adore that about it. But if you take them out because they're not like songs, then you've probably got like a 24-minute album. Really, it's quite astounding. You know, and in that 24 minutes is gold. You know.
Yeah. And Hoss, I'm glad that you mentioned that about Ed's attitude, because let's go back. We all know that the Van Halens come from a jazz background. Their father was a jazz musician, so that's a jazz man's attitude. You know, that's a John Coltrane, Miles Davis attitude. Like, I'm just going to do what I want to do, and if you guys don't dig it,
that's exactly right.
Say it, Andrew. I know you want to.
No, I'm not going to.
Come on,
family
Andrew.
Show. It's a family show.
Family show. Hey, Johnny Heartbreaker, how you doing, bro?
Yeah. Well, for me, I think it's definitely Fair Warning. Fair Warning would be my favorite Roth era record, followed by 1984. That would probably be my second. Third would probably be Van Halen 2. Fourth would be Van Halen 1, Women and Children first, and then Dive It Down. That would be my rankings out of the Roth era for me. I mean, the reasons for Fair Warning are pretty obvious. Everything we've sort of discussed, like it's just a great record where there's a lot of tension, a lot of power in the songs for me. I love the grooves. I love the tone. I love the guitar tone. I love the drum sound. The band sounds phenomenal. And Roth,
doesn't it? Yeah.
You know, Roth I'm a Roth fan. I love Roth, but sometimes he's hit and miss for me. And I think this record is really good on and 1984 as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be sort of, it changes from time to time. Sometimes I listen to Van Halen too, and I'm like, oh, this is the one, but that's probably the majority of my ranking. Always falls back to that sort of alignment.
Yeah, great.
I always saw, and I've said this on when we've done for unlawful carnal knowledge programs on this show. I always see the carnal knowledge record as like Sammy's sort of. It's got that fair warning sort of vibe to it. It's got that sort of darker edge, a little bit heavier, and a little bit. There's some fantastic guitar playing on it, but they're big songs, lots of impact, and lots of power in the songs.
Good point.
I still see, Roth, in fair warning, it's like for some reason he's lifted his game on that or something, or he's tried doing something a little bit more than he did prior to that record, in my opinion, on this one. And I think he did a stellar job vocally. So, yeah.
Oh, read this comment here. Good on you, John. Yeah. Loss of control. You can skip that.
Well, to me, if you're going to skip loss of control, you can skip Sunday afternoon in the park as well.
Yeah,
that's just me. But
yeah,
it's kind of like a bit of an EP, really, when you think about it. If you were to look at the songs, it's more of an EP than it is a full length record. But back in those days, that was a full length record. So
yeah. I would imagine even in those days, though, with the record company A&R guy coming in to go, okay, what do you got, fellas? They're like, well, it's 26 minutes, but we've got these two synthesizer things, so it's 31 minutes something. They'd be like, okay, maybe you better play the songs. And then they'd hear the songs and go, yeah, you guys are fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, when you think about it, like Unchained is fairly catchy. It's got more of a single vibe to it to me than it's a well-written song to try and capture people, to pull people into it.
But it wasn't a single, was it?
No, I don't think it was. But
it's funny.
That would be the sort of song you play to the A&R guy or from a record company and go, that's the song, So
it's funny, because I feel like that fans really see Unchained in their heart as kind of a single,
Correct.
Yeah.
It's what was the single off the record?
I think it was. I actually just had that up before.
Yeah.
Can't find it now.
Damn. I don't know. Someone will tell us.
Someone's going to tell us. Someone will know.
I think the singles was This Is Love.
So
yes.
This Is Love.
I think you're right.
Single from Fair Warning.
Correct.
So
This Is Love.
Unchained, Mean Street, and Hear About It Later. They're all released as singles.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, Hear About It Later, I can totally hear as a single. So This Is Love is so happy by comparison to the other songs on that record that it sort of seems like if someone heard that single and then ran out to Tower Records to go and get the album, they'd be like, oh, be like someone hearing More Than Words from Extreme and going to buy Pornography.
That's right. Yeah. Total shock. Yeah.
And if you listen to, sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say, you speak of Nuno, like if you listen, like that podcast, the Dweezil one and that, but if you listen to Nuno's playing, especially on albums like Waiting for the Punchline and that, you can hear a Fair Warning vibe all over it. It's just, I mean, you can in the first two, or even Three Sides to Every Story and things like that. But Waiting for the Punchline in particular, I can hear Fair Warning in Nuno's playing on that. It's just like those little percussive things and that little bit of a funk element that Nuno is way more funkier than Ed ever was, but you can hear that percussive style really thick and thin through Waiting for the Punchline.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you should mention that, Brad, because we were just listening to Nuno say that even though he loved all the albums up to Fair Warning, it was when he heard Fair Warning for the first time, he felt like something clicked inside him, and he was like, this is the kind of thing that is me, and I'm just going to dial it right up, which obviously, as we know, he did, because he took that funk rock thing and really kind of turned it up to 11, you know. But it was the Ed's funky playing on Fair Warning that really kind of hit him in the soul, you know.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Hey, Holly.
Yeah, so the Fair Warning thing, guys. When you, I've caught wind that the dates change, Hoss. You were talking about it to us. Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk?
Absolutely. Yep. So the date has had to change one last time, and that's basically just due to that, because the COVID thing in Australia has settled right down now. Everyone's going away for Easter with their family, with their friends. And not only have ticket sales stalled, but people are asking for refunds. So
makes sense.
A lot of venues are having real trouble with their Easter gigs. Now, we're very lucky. We have a great ambassador at the Corner Hotel who I've been dealing with since the beginning, and happens to be a massive fan of Van Halen. And he knows intimately how many times we've rescheduled this show because of COVID and other things. And he said, look, it wouldn't be right after 18 months of planning to play to an empty room because people are out of town. So if you guys want to have a look at another date, let's have a look at another date. We did that, and thankfully, maybe Ed was looking down and trying to, help out a little bit from up above, but we found a date that everyone could do. And when I say everyone, there's like 12 people in the band and crew that to me are not expendable. We want our front of house guy. We want our lighting guy. We want our guitar tech. We want our guest singers like Nina and Darren, that we found a date that's only 4 weeks later. So it's Thursday, May the 19th now.
Better put that in my calendar.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So boys, if you can put that in.
What is it? May the 19th.
You've got a gig on that day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Jason, just pencil it in. Don't use ink.
Yeah, not ink.
Don't use ink.
Right.
No.
I think the footy's on through that now. You better watch it. If it's my Tigers, then be careful.
You boys, give me a heart attack. But
we're just around the corner from the MCG, so it won't matter.
Yeah, just drop in on the way.
That's it, mate.
But what we can do, guys, is we've got a short little video clip here for everyone in the chat who might want to get a plane ticket from the United States of America to fly to Melbourne to watch these guys.
Right.
So So we'll just play. Sorry,
Andrew,
brother.
before you go on and finish that sentence, I have promised that if anyone takes a flight, and it could be even it's just a 40-minute flight from New South Wales or something, but especially they have as many free tickets to the show as they want.
Wow. I'm going to play this little intro.
Wait, hang on a minute. No, I'm kidding. No, it's all good.
We'll play this video.
Whoa, where'd this come from?
Getting out of the profits. Well, don't forget, 10% of the profits are going to Mr. Holland's Opus charity as well, which was Eddie's charity. Yeah.
Yep.
Brilliant. We'll play this video, guys, and we can talk a little bit about it. But if anyone's planning a trip to Melbourne, this is probably the best time to do it. Take it away.
Yeah.
Fair warning.
Hello, babe.
Right here.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I'm also going to, guys, after that, I'm going to put a link to Jason's YouTube channel. I'm a New Zealander and I love Australian rules, and Jason's done a great video. He dropped it a couple of weeks ago talking about football, Aussie rules, and I'll attach that to this video for people to check it out because it's well done, Jason. Really, really, really proud of you, brother. It's fantastic. You've done the vibe well.
I appreciate that, Andrew. Thank you. And that's actually Jerry playing drums on that track. Couldn't afford Simon. He's too expensive. But no, that's our good friend Jerry Pantazis.
What track is that?
It's the footy one.
Oh, yeah. Great track.
Yes. Yeah. We were hoping for big things out of that. Maybe we'll have to write one for the New Zealand Rugby Union, perhaps. You could help us with that, Andrew.
You know what? You guys talk for a minute. I'm going to find it, and I might play it. So you guys talk. Hold on. I'm going to find it.
And Brad, for our American friends, they're not going to know what the hell's going on.
No, that's all right. And Brad, are you still with us, brother? You're frozen on our screen.
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh, cool. But you got to probably go in a minute, right?
Oh, not. Yeah, I've got to go soon. I've got to go not right this second. But
that's all right.
Yeah.
Jerry's phone's died too, so now he's out of my bedroom and he's cozied up next to us.
Well, it's only because I won't say what I did in his room.
You just warmed up. You just warmed up the sheets for him. That's all, didn't you?
He's warmed up the sheets. That's exactly right.
The fumigator's going to come.
Man,
that's one way of saying it, Brad.
Whoa.
Yeah,
sheets.
It's a family show, guys. Come on. Hey, since you guys have sort of merged into the one screen, can you see at the bottom you've got Ed on one side and Mikey on the other, just like
yeah,
I love it.
Now you guys have to swap.
Why?
So that Jason can be with where Mikey is, and then you'd be where Alex is in the middle.
Yeah, well, then would be. Look, they've warmed each other's seats up now.
Simmons in the Kiss Exposed doco, getting the girls to swap heads in the wall.
Yeah,
you got to see that, man. That's out.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect.
There you go.
There you go.
That event, by the way, what can we have a guess at? Our friends out there will be able to tell us from that still photo what song are they playing?
Well, I couldn't tell you, but Eddie's doing a jump and he's using the black and white. He's using the circles guitar.
Yeah, so that's
Mikey's. Is that a P bass? Mikey's playing.
Looks like it.
Because I've got a suspicion that the fair warning. This is a little bit of a rabbit hole thing to say, but I've got a suspicion. That fair warning is where he introduced the Yamaha BB bass. Would that be correct?
I don't know. Someone will know. Maybe.
Not that it matters.
Alan's just mentioned that's from Unchained.
Great. There you go.
Yes, I can see that. And also, Alan was just saying that he used to watch the Paul Hogan show, and so he said if you could, back in the 80s. So if you could watch that, then maybe you give Australian rules a chance. Yeah, Alan, I think you'd like it. People, it's a very quick moving football game. Not too much stopping and starting. It's a lot of fun.
Great.
Yeah.
Jason, what's the name of your song? I can't find it. Can you tell me, please?
It's called "This Is the Greatest Game."
This is it. God, this is.
So I actually changed the title to try and get more viewers.
And what'd you change?
This is the worst game.
This is a game.
This is a game.
This
is clickbait. This is
clickbait. This is clickbait.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it, brother. I've got it. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
It's good so far.
Loving it.
Hold on, guys.
So that's okay. And also that guitar design of Eddie's there, the paint job.
It's different, isn't it?
I like that one.
Yeah, that's one of the less common ones. It's black and white, and it's got the circles and stuff through it. So
now, which guitar was that? Did that be the red?
It's arguably not black. It's actually dark blue. Oh well, I've seen debates that it's dark blue or black.
I've seen debates that it's dark blue as well, but it looks kind of black to me.
Oh, he looks like.
Yeah, something's happening.
We've been waiting for so long, now it's finally here.
For the Van Halen fans,
Season's back. It's the best time of the year. We've got our scarves and team colours ready, and now we're counting down the days. Whoa, this is the greatest game. Family and friends, we all gather round to watch the pre-game show.
It's a big football.
Then a goosebump starts to appear when that first siren blows. And when your sides hit the front, there's only time on left to play. This is the greatest game.
The filth.
When you hear Mike Brady singing up there, Kazali, there really is nothing that compares. When football's in your blood, you can't get enough. In the minds of grand final day, this is the greatest game. We felt the magic in the air with every sight and sound. And that giant roar right around the ground. I shed tears of joy with a long suffering.
Yeah, Alan, that's exactly what they do, brother. Yeah.
Oh, this is the greatest game. When you hear Mike Brady singing out there, Kazali, there really is nothing that compares. When football's in your blood, you can't get enough. In the might of grand final day, well, this is the greatest game. Then at finals time that year, we took our daughter and son. We couldn't believe our luck. We scored seats on level 1. Well, it's forever etched in my memory. My team made history that day. Well, this is the greatest game. There's nothing around quite the same. I might rush home and watch the replay. This is the greatest game.
Woo!
Yeah.
So
Get off.
get off.
Actually,
so Jason, you've got to tell everyone here will really want to know why the AFL didn't end up going with that song and what song they went with.
well, the irony of that song is the AFL have chosen another song to promote their season this year, and it happens to be a Van Halen song, would you believe? It's they're using Jump by Van Halen to promote.
Oh,
How ironic.
really?
So they're really, so you know,
You should have told them Jump. Do I know it? I wrote it.
I wrote it. They may not have chosen my song, which would have earned me quite a lot of APRA points, perhaps. Who knows? They went with Van Halen's
Eddie doesn't
Jump.
need him anymore.
So that's So there you go. And the way they've used Jump is pretty awesome. So maybe you could check that promo out if you're into AFL and you love Van Halen. So there you go.
We should do another song.
Andrew, thank you so much, sir, for playing that song. I appreciate it. Good on you.
Oh, no problem, brother. When I saw it on my feed, I saw it the day after Buddy scored his 1,000th goal on the Friday night. Watched that live here in New Zealand. Watched the Swans. It was fantastic. I've been a Bombers fan since 1981. An Australian guy came from Melbourne to our school, and he said to me, have you seen Australian rules? Do you know anything about Australian rules? And I said, oh, yeah. They'd show a little bit of it on the news when it was grand final, the VFL, back in the olden days. And he showed me it. He showed me the rules, and he was a Footscray fan, and I just fell in love with the Bombers. Been a fan since 81. Love it. We get it here in New Zealand. All the games live. It's a great game.
Oh, good on you, Andrew. Yeah. Have you been to the MCG to watch a game live in person?
Yes, I have. I went to the MCG in 1989, and
meat pies.
Got drunk as a dog. Got into a couple of fights. Yeah. It was great.
It was great, was it?
Yeah. Got drunk as a fight and got into a couple of dogs.
That's really funny.
The three of us should write a new AFL song for you to submit
and call it Jump.
That's and if you like the AFL and like Van Halen too, when it comes to choosing a song, there's only one thing you should do, and make the whole thing about the AFL choosing Jump.
Yeah, there you go. Apparently, they paid $200,000 for that jump. Anyway, I might be speaking
Wow.
at.
No, you're probably right.
But
Anyway.
anyway, that's good on them.
Yeah, no smoke bombs.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
very good, Brad. We know you've got to go, and
Yeah.
and we've got to go to our sound check soon. Is there any final thoughts or parting words from anyone in the chat or elsewhere about Fair Warning?
No, look, I'm literally going to get in my car when I'm driving to soundcheck and listen to it again. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, we cranked it up. Was it last night? It was last night on the way to the gig. Yeah, and just were, you know, when you haven't listened to it like in song order for a little while, you just go, geez, they were good songs, you know.
Yeah.
And Jerry made a good point that all of them are really different. They're not, you know, you've got Push Comes to Shove, so This Is Love. I mean, I got to say, Hear About It Later when I was a teenager was one of my very favorite songs because it had that pop thing about it, but it still had some balls, like that breakdown. Nasty funk, you know, just deep and dirgy. But, you know, so it kind of, you know, like the boys were saying earlier, it ticked a lot of the boxes in 30 minutes.
Can I just add, we haven't spoken about one of my favorite songs is Push Comes to Shove.
Killer.
I got to say, I love the it's almost like the Rolling Stones Miss You bass line with and Mikey sounds like he's using some sort of flange pedal.
Yeah.
And the guitar solo in that song, Simon, is like unlike many of the others. I haven't heard Eddie play like that on many of the other songs.
Yeah, like to my ears, even the solos of Eddie's on a lot of the other songs, not just on Fair Warning, on the other albums too, they sound improvised and free-flowing, but I think they're like half and half. I think there's some structure to them, and I think that they've probably played them enough that he sort of knows what he's going to do and how he's going to phrase it. But with the Push Comes to Shove solo, that honestly sounds to me like he just opened the gates and just went for it and would see what would come out. Now, he might have recorded multiple takes in the day, but it sounds to me like that's one take. That's one particular take, the whole thing, you know, and it's killer. It's actually one of Dweezil's favorite solos too. You know, if you listen to him talking about it,
Holdsworth-esque,
very Holdsworth-esque. And you're right. You know, who was saying that in the chat? To Alan,
Mikey Mojo,
Mikey, yeah. It was. But I think Alan also said earlier in the chat that this Fair Warning was about the era that you could hear the Holdsworth influence seep into Ed's playing with some of his really outside lines and stuff. But of course, because, you know, he wasn't playing fusion and he wasn't playing jazz or any kind of crossover, he had to keep it in the pop rock world. He did it in a way that was constrained enough that it still worked for Van Halen, even though it was kind of on the outside, you know.
It's almost like he's heard the concept of what Alan was doing.
Took the concept of it.
And took it and just framed it around a particular idea that he had for that song too.
Not to mention David Lee Roth's delivery in Push Comes to Shove.
Yeah.
I just love that. It's almost like it's almost
does it seem cool to you?
It's almost like he's come up with it on the spot.
Hand me that bottle.
I mean, in the same way you're saying, you're like, maybe he was just improvising that as well. Mike,
possibly,
Dave,
yeah.
you know?
I feel like Roth was improvising all that stuff. That sort of, you know, 2 a.m. in a dark, smoky bar in like Manhattan or something, you know, and it's like it's almost the same as I think is it Edom and Smile, so Ladies' Night in Buffalo. It's got that same, you know, you could like Wet Roads, 2 a.m., hot and steamy, you know, like that kind of, and it's got that thing about it. Yeah, Push Comes to Shove is like a sleeper for me because when I was a teenager, I didn't really love it because it didn't hit hard enough. But actually, now that I'm older, it's like in the words of the illustrious Andrew, never a skip. You know, in fact, when it comes on, I always forget that Push Comes to Shove is on that record, and when it goes doom 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 doom, I'm like yes. And it's such a welcome relief from all the harder hitting stuff too, you know. So it must have been strange being Ted Templeman or whoever else from the record company. And they're like, well, what about this one? And be like, I don't know, boys, about that one. But actually, there's no way that could not be on that record now. You know, we're
But
so
do you
used to it.
think that was David Lee Roth's influence, that song, mate?
Maybe it's hard to say. It's hard. Yeah, it could be.
Could have been a disco. He's saying, let's do a disco
Well,
song.
it's like a disco ballad, really, is what it is, isn't it? You know, it's got that, Mikey playing in the octaves.
Was Miss You, the Rolling Stones Miss You, was that out before?
Oh, okay. There's a question for someone.
Andrew,
it was.
Yes. So it was out before Push Comes to Shove.
Yes.
So really, then you could almost argue that, given that there's no way Van Halen had not heard "Miss You," that it's almost like a not a rip off at all, but a tip of the hat, you know.
And it was probably like all over the radio too. Like "Miss You" would have been, the latest Rolling Stones single, which probably played everywhere, and and they couldn't escape it.
We've had a few answers to what Mikey was using effect-wise on that song.
There you go.
The Phase 90.
Yeah.
Would that have been the effect he had, perhaps?
Well, the good news is that we well, I mean, of course, I've got the Phase 90 script. I've got the flange. We can try them all.
We've tried,
and you can just use whichever one it is.
Love to have a crack.
Yeah. Also, hey,
I'm glad you guys. So I'm glad that you guys mentioned the radio, at the time, because one thing the rock professors always mentioned to us when we've discussed Van Halen, and we have to remember this from our perspective, is that Van Halen weren't big in the UK, because around this time it was new wave and the post-punk scene was still dominating what was happening in the UK. And the same kind of thing was happening here in New Zealand, guys. Popular music, Flock of Seagulls, Duran Duran, Visage. It was that kind of music that was still kind of, a lot of my friends listening to. So to go and listen to this kind of stuff around that time, again, night and day, light and shade, guys, just remarkable. And it's a testament to the market of the music business and the music interests in the United States that we probably never got. We never understood here about how big and diverse it was in the States.
Yeah. And thank you, Wayno. Wayno's just joined us in saying, Miss You was 1978. So there you go. It was really early.
Blue.
But this is why we love discussing it so much, is because
that's an interesting one.
It's interesting.
Now this one here, Percy Jones from Brand X, was a specific reference that Eddie gave to Michael Anthony for his part on Push Comes to Shove.
Wow, thank you, Alan.
Wow.
Alan is a deep well of knowledge as you'll never run out of, But
that's awesome.
thanks, brother.
That's fantastic.
Percy Jones from Brand X. We'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
So Brand X was the fusion band that Phil Collins was in, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not know that.
So
no, I didn't know that either.
The other interesting note was a lot of people out there are saying that maybe Ed played that bass part.
Feels like a bass player played that to me.
What would the indicator though that Eddie might have played it? Is it that?
No, to be honest, the fact that it goes doom 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 like that. That's such a
bass play thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a classic disco bass player move, and I just can't imagine it. Look, we all know Eddie was a genius. I just can't imagine him intuitively coming up with that. But Mikey, I could, because we were talking about on the car listening to Mikey. He always went up for those high notes that, as I call it, like never quite went anywhere. So he would, like the elephant just. But to me, that bibidaboo is almost like him just doing something with his I don't know.
But actually getting it.
But
cheers,
Michael. I think the interesting part about
Thank you, Michael.
All of that is that I don't think Mikey played that style on any other Van Halen song, though.
No.
I mean, you never really
did.
heard. Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah.
But in a way, that song, even from Roth and from Eddie, Eddie's doing those like volume swells and there's not really anything else like that. And Roth doing his like late night bar with cigarette in the mouth, like like that. There's nothing else like that.
It wasn't one of a kind, like we said before. It's probably the only Van Halen song like that. There's not many like that.
Completely believable when he narrates it. Yeah.
Eddie, like his entry solo, the first couple of notes that he plays on that solo are all harmonics, right? Or something, or tapped hum. What is that? Like, that's so cool, man.
So,
and then the next one, dong, ding.
Yeah.
And he does the holes where it's that out thing, right?
Yeah.
To me, like, how to grab someone's attention in a sort of slow funk tune. All of a sudden, you hear that, you just go, all right.
That's one that we'll be attempting. Well, we'll be playing that song at our show.
Not attempting. Come on.
Sorry, no, but I mean, I'll be attempting it.
No, we'll all be attempting it.
How to play it.
We'll all be attempting it. Yeah, we're actually doing that one at the Corner Hotel in our second set because we wanted for all the reasons that we've just been talking about. There's no way it would be such a great moment for everyone to take a breath because the second set's an onslaught of Sammy Hagar stuff and all sorts of things.
Sure.
It needs a moment where the whole thing can breathe for 5 minutes, and we can turn the PA down a bit and people's ears can get a break before we smash them again. And so push comes to shove is just such, and plus, it's a great feature for Jason as well because no one's going to play that Mikey stuff like Jace. So,
that's beautiful, mate. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
But I'm only saying that because they sit next to me.
Yeah.
If these guys weren't in the podcast today,
Once you guys get a room.
We are in a room.
Can you guys down there on that low level subterranean level that you're in? Can you guys do us a favor though when you catch up with Nina, please? Can you pass on our deepest condolences to Nina for her dad passed in a couple of weeks too, please, on behalf of the 5150 show. If you guys can do that in person, we'd be grateful.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. She would love that. Yeah, Nina, unfortunately, has been going through a pretty rough few months, and it's always rough when someone in your intimate family passes away. So, our thoughts are with Nina for sure. She's not had a good time.
Yeah. And someone in the chat, where was it? We're asking about who the rat bags are on the bottom screen. These guys are from Melbourne.
Oh, that's right.
Fair warning. Van Halen, if you just jumped in, it was Greg Robot Tune. So Roberts.
Hey, Greg.
Roberts Tune. Yeah, so fair warning. Let's say it like this: Australia's greatest Van Halen show.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
It's very kind. We are a Van Halen.
Yeah.
A Van Halen.
Not. It's like whoever's seen Groundhog Day with Bill Murray when he's in the diner she's like, so what are you telling me, Phil? That you're God? And he goes, no, not the God, a God. So we're a Van Halen band. Yeah.
I think you guys are pretty humble. It's pretty good.
It's of course, we just have so much fun playing that stuff because it's music we all grew up with. We're all passionate about it. We all are full-time professional musicians that make our living as session guys. And it's just really rare to, and special to have an opportunity to play the songs that touched you as a teenager, as well as doing all the other stuff that we do to make a living, So it's a privilege, and these guys are my brothers. I've known them for a very long time, and there's no one I'd rather be doing it with. So it's
well, there is for me. I mean, I think a few other guys I'd like to be doing it with. Well, for these,
we need to see a group hug, guys. Group hug.
Fantastic!
Leave it out.
Get a room.
Yeah.
Collingwood supporters.
Well, like a dog pissing on a tree. Jerry's already left his scent on my bed. So,
I've got a serious question, though, for you guys. Sorry to bring some seriousness in here. So, have you guys got your passports organised? You know how the world's opening up now and acts are going to be travelling and, you've got a good package, guys. You can be as in-depth or as brief with the reply. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but, the package that you guys have got clearly would appeal to a lot of people, a lot of Van Halen fans overseas. So is that a plan that you guys are going to tackle anytime soon?
It is a plan. We've been talking about it. We've also been talking with a particular promoter who's in your neck of the woods, Andrew, in New Zealand. who is very interested in seeing if we could put on a larger scale show and more with a narrative and video screens where, we would, of course, potentially tour the States and Europe and the UK. We would, of course, that would be a dream come true. So if that happens, that'd be wonderful. But as always, and like when Jerry and I started Fair Warning in 1996, that was never the goal. The goal was to play music with your brothers and have fun, playing the stuff that we grew up with. Whatever comes from that, if people like it that much and there's a demand for it, well, I couldn't imagine a more fun thing to do. So yeah, we're definitely we're leaving the doors open to that, and then we'll just see what happens. But we don't, we wouldn't want to force it. But there's we've had so many beautiful comments actually on our Melbourne Guitar Show YouTube video, and especially people in the States, that it seems like it would be inevitable that we would love to go over there and
wow,
and do the rounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen.
That'd be fantastic. If you need someone to help lift all your gear.
Well, I was just going to say, Brad, if you could load in my quad boxes, that'd be just
boxes.
No, boxes.
Well, I can lift heavy things and play tambourine and the triangle or something at the back shakers.
We need a cowbell player too. Man.
Yeah.
Play cowbell.
Good.
Barbara slap.
There was something else I was going to say just before, but I can't. Anyway, I'm actually about to slap together a brand new promo that I'll have on all the socials, of course, which will be with the new date for the show. And we're thinking we're just going to go for the jugular, and the promo will be long. It'll be about 5 minutes, and we're going to include all the footage that we shot at the production rehearsal, because I think people just want to see it all now,
Yep. Good idea, brother. Good idea.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to have to call it quits today.
Well, we are too. We've got a sound check to get to and okay. Work to do.
We're going to cruise. We're going to cruise then. So, Hoss, if I'm going to say, if you want to do the final shout out, I'm going to say thank you, Jerry, for coming on board. You're a brother, awesome. Jason, fantastic. Thank you for hanging out. Love your footy. Love your footy song, brother. Thank you for that.
Andrew. Thanks, man.
Hoss,
yes.
Thank you, brother, for getting these rap bags together and joining us. You guys don't get into trouble tonight.
Well, we will definitely get into trouble, but
okay.
It's been really fun. It has been so cool that the three of us were all together in one place to have this chat with you guys. Makes it a bit of a special episode for us.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of extra VIPs join us in the chat. We got Christine Taylor, Wayno, how you doing, brother? Jimmy Ray Hawkins, Greg Roberts in the UK, and of course, as we always do, special shout outs for our 3 a.m., 4 a.m. brothers and sisters. Johnny Heartbreaker, Nelson Rodriguez, Alan, how you doing, brother? Thanks for joining in. He's the untappable. What am I trying to say? Unexhaustible wealth of knowledge on Van Halen.
Yes.
Holly Lewis, Robert Ranford. We got Sonia in there as well. Michael also. Charmaine in the UK, of course. Tanty. Hey, Tanty. Dan of New Jersey. Helen Winter. Grant Fisher. Thomas Santiago. Teresa all the way down in Brazil. All right, boys. We're not.
Keith Campbell.
Yes. Of course, we have
5 hours.
Right. We have Ellen. We have the illustrious John ZD351. We got Gretch Zeppelin. We got Keith Campbell, the one and only. We got Mikey Mojo, also the one and only. We've got Arvin Gaunt, who's in there, and I believe that about covers our latest list of VIPs. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and thanks for putting up with our hilarity. We're delirious from the travel.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. We don't apologize. What are we apologizing for?
I'm feeling great.
Ole, ole, ole,
That last one. Sorry.
Thank you,
We got
everybody.
Diamond Dave in here too. We're out of here, guys.
No worries.
Do you guys want to sing us out? Sing us out. Here.
Wait. Ready? Bombadita, bombadita, bombadita. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Smiling until then.